Hello and welcome to HTN. I'm George Seraphin. Today we are going to be talking about the three ways that heat is transferred: conduction, convection, and radiation. We are first going to be talking about conduction. Conduction is the transfer of heat between two different substances in direct contact. It also can be in any state of matter, solid, liquid, or gas. You can also see conduction in your house when you're cooking. When you turn on the stove, the hot flame heats up your metal pan and makes it very hot. That's why you get burned when you touch it. You can also see in the weather all around you. When the cold wind is blowing and it comes in contact with your body, it makes you feel cold because your body transfers its heat to the wind and then makes your body feel colder. There is also conduction in plate tectonics. The hot plasma in a volcano sends its heat up and out of the top through the hole. And when the air cools, it just falls back down. And finally, we have ocean currents. When the warm air touches the ocean, it becomes warmer and currents carry the warm water around the world. We have convection, which is the transfer of heat by the movement of the fluid due to its density differences. The density differences make the fluid move because the density of the material correlates to the proximity of its molecules. The hot air is less dense, so it rises, and when it cools, its density rises and makes the air sink. Our first example of convection is when you're boiling water and the hot water moves to the top and then sinks when it cools in a circular motion. There is also convection in the weather. The hot air on the ground rises up to the atmosphere and stays until it cools. And when it does, the cool air sinks back down and starts the process all over again. We next have examples of plate tectonics using convection, when the hot air rises up and comes back down when it cools. The circular motion makes the plates move around very slowly over time. And there is also convection in the ocean. The water currents start to warm up and move to the poles, and then starts to cool and move down back to the equator. Finally going to finish our show talking about radiation. Radiation is the transfer of heat through space as an electromagnetic wave. Radiation also doesn't require matter to move. You can find radiation inside your house in your microwave. When you cook anything in the microwave, it sends out waves that react to your water molecules. They heat up the substance. There's also radiation in the weather. The equator is always the warmest part of the Earth because it receives the most solar radiation waves from the sun, thus heating it up. One big example of radiation in plate tectonics: when the Earth's core sends off radiation, it rises up to the plates and melts them, and soon the plates begin to shrink or separate into many pieces. And last but not least, there is radiation heat in ocean currents. When the sun's radiation waves come to Earth, some of them bypass the atmosphere and then hit the ocean. The waves then warm the water, and the ocean currents then move everywhere with the warm water. Thank you for tuning in for HTN. I am George Seraphin, and have a wonderful evening.